we play a game?
Why, yes. I believe we shall.
Oh, I got a live one here.
Live from Little Rock, it's Shane Plays Radio, Geek Talk Radio, a journey into the things we love. I'm your host, Shane Stacks. Thanks so much for joining me. This is a journey into the things we love, all things geek, and it's Shane Plays, like when Shane gets to play, not Shane's Place, like where he hangs out. So this is live radio. Our number is 501-823-0965. You can also tweet me at Shane Plays, ShanePlays. Going to have a cool show today. I'll get more to that here in a second. I'm going to do some housekeeping notes, but today we're going to be talking about the Nintendo Switch, Nintendo's newest console, which if you haven't heard that it's out yet, I don't know where you've been, but I'll refresh you just in case you need to know. It's Nintendo's newest console, following the Wii U, which was a unqualified not success, unfortunately, after the major success of the Wii. And it's also the first major, there may be some other consoles out there, but it's the first major console to be both a home console system and a portable console system at the same time, and to do both equally well. So we'll be talking about that today. Got a host, Johnathan Dixon, indie game developer, Johnathan Dixon, and Switch owner, is in the studio with me today. And he's brought his Switch in, and we're going to be talking about it. So feel free to call in 501-823-0965 or tweet me at Shane Plays. If you own one, let me know what you think about it. Do you like it? Do you hate it? Do you have questions about it? Do you want to know what it's all about? Feel free to call in, or you can just listen to me and Johnathan talk about it. Maybe Zach will pitch in. Zach seemed kind of impressed with it before the show. My producer, long-suffering producer, Zach. Zach, you went and saw, I think my guest, Johnathan, and y'all both have seen Kong.
That's
Skull
correct.
Island.
That's correct, yeah.
Yeah, what'd you think? Real super quick, what'd you think? Love it, hate it, good, bad?
Really
Was it
enjoyed
gorilla-rific?
It's dumb but fun.
Yeah.
I really liked it.
Which it should be. You know, a giant monster movie should be dumb but fun, in my opinion.
Yeah, just go for the action.
Don't make it more than what it is. So, does it have Sam Jackson in it?
Yes.
Yeah, it's hard to go wrong with Sam Jackson. Now, there's a couple things, like I said, we can't spend a whole lot of time on this, but a couple of things I'm excited about. One, it looks like they're setting up Godzilla versus King Kong.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So I'm down with that. It looks like they made him a lot bigger in this movie, than traditional Kong. He seemed like he's pretty big from the promotional stuff I've seen.
He's pretty big. Yeah.
He's pretty big. Mm-hmm. All right. Well, I'm sure he gets his licks in no matter what happens. So I'm glad about that. And this is not the traditional King Kong movie, right? This isn't Expedition goes to King Kong kidnaps the woman. This is like the military versus King Kong on his turf, right? Is that what's going on?
Pretty much.
Pretty much? All right. Okay. Well, I'm hoping to go see Logan this weekend, but Kong, you guys are both saying is a fun movie, so hopefully I'll check that at some point as well. All right, let's get to the housekeeping notes, and then we'll get to the main topic. Don't forget that, as I mentioned, this is live talk radio, 501-823-0965, where you can tweet me at Shane Plays. Also, the show notes for today's show are up right now at shaneplays.com, ShanePlays.com. And you can go there and I've got a lot of Nintendo Switch news items up there. You can check that out. I've also got some links to my guest stuff. He's the games that he has worked on in the past and is working on now. So you can go find that out, and more about Johnathan Dixon, Modest Arcade, or it used to be. Do you still operate it as Modest Arcade, or is that
For now.
For now? Okay.
Yeah.
So indie game dev, Johnathan Dixon of Modest Arcade. So don't forget, last week's show is archived on shaneplays.com. And that was, we talked to Ed Greenwood and Richard Lee Byers and Jeff Gander about new Forgotten Realms role-playing game material coming out from the Ed Greenwood group. So go check that out. This is a podcast as well as a live radio show. I love live radio, but it's also a podcast because I also love podcasts. So a few days after each live show, this will go as a podcast on my blog at shaneplays.com, iTunes, Google Play Music, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, and other fine podcast directories. And last but never least, Shane Plays is also carried on Krypton Radio. Krypton Radio is sci-fi for your Wi-Fi. KryptonRadio.com. We are played a week after the fact on Saturdays and Mondays on KryptonRadio.com. So go check that out. So, okay, having said that, got one other non-show topic thing to do here, which is pretty cool. And then we're going to dig right in with Johnathan on the Nintendo Switch. I've got listener mail. What do you think about that, Zach?
That's pretty cool.
Listener mail.
Nice.
Ready?
Yeah.
All right, let's get into this. This is from Dan in Illinois.
Okay.
So I'm hoping he's listening to this. I think he listens by podcast. And Dan, I will respond to your email as well, but I wanted to read this on the air. I appreciate you. I love doing the show. I'm going to do it no matter what, but when you get positive feedback from people, it just feels good, right? It makes you want to work even. I'm sure, Johnathan, when your games you work on, you're going to do it because you love it.
It feels great.
But when people tell you, that they like it or whatever, and it's not, there's nothing wrong with friends or family encouraging you. But when it's somebody you don't know and they go out of their way to say, hey, enjoy it, just feels good. So Dan, I really appreciate this. All right. So he says, hi, Shane. My kids and I listen to your podcast every week and have for quite a long time. Thanks, Dan, and your kids. I really appreciate it. He says, we really enjoy it. Keep up the great work. Says the kids are into movies, video games, and comic books, so you hit the things they love almost every week. My older son, 12, is showing an interest in RPGs now. Says, me? I started gaming in the late 70s. I played Hex and Counter war games back then, and still do when I get the time, along with RPGs. Says he still has his first edition AD&D books. Good for you, man. You're a true grognard like me. All right. How about an interview with someone from the Hex and Counter war game world? Someone from GMT Games or Compass Games or Clash of Arms games? Well, Dan, I'm going to reach out and see if I can make that happen. So I pulled them up last night and started researching them, and I'll see if I can get them or another, Hex and Counter war game, company on. The closest thing I've had to that, I know we've had a Warhammer show in the past. That's the closest I've come probably to wargaming on the show. But I like wargaming. I think it's cool. All right, he says, thanks again for a great show. Your discussions of 5th edition D&D have inspired me to go out and get the books after a 40-year hiatus. Dan in Illinois. That last sentence right there, Dan, that means a lot to me. So, that's part of it. I love geek stuff. I want to share it with other people and either get them excited or re-excited about geek stuff. So, Dan, I really appreciate you calling in. Say hi to your kids, and or for me anyway, and I will see what I can do about getting a Hex and Counter war game guest on the show. And folks, if anybody else wants to write in, you can always reach me at shaneplays.com, and I'm on Twitter at shaneplays. So either way, we're good to go. Okay, on to, we have a lot of news today, Zach. It's the news segment and the show topic blend together today. So just go ahead and hit it. Let's turn on the secret microphone in the newsroom and see if they're working today. There they go. Working hard, working on Saturday. Man, love those guys and gals working hard. Remember, folks, for every $1 of Patreon support that the show gets, the news team gets a penny an hour raise. Come on.
That's fantastic.
It's a win, right, Johnathan?
That's a win-win.
It's a win-win for everybody. So you can go to patreon.com/ShanePlays if you'd like to support the show. I have sponsors. I'm very blessed to have them. They don't cover all the bills. I'm going to do the show regardless. But if you like this type of show, I don't know of any other Geek Talk radio show out there. I appreciate it if you want to help support the show, but I don't want you to think that you have to support the show on Patreon in order to get the show. But if you want to, man, I'll definitely take that support and appreciate it very, very much. Okay, the only non-Nintendo Switch news item we have today is I was actually interviewed recently by Onder Radio, the Onder Librum speculative they don't call it speculative fiction. It's speculative creative arts. I think something like that. So they're covering more than just speculative fiction. It's their podcast sort of celebrating and encouraging that. And they don't just cover just Onder Librum stuff. They cover, speculative, creative stuff from other companies as well. So I definitely, whether you want to listen to me or not, I definitely would encourage you to go listen to Onder Radio. And the episode where I'm interviewed is linked at shaneplays.com. Okay, so before I go into these other further news items, which are all Nintendo Switch related, Johnathan, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Shane.
Yeah, man, I'm glad you came on. Just so people know, Johnathan has been battling some sort of crud and stepped up to the plate and came, and I really appreciate you, man. So
I think I got rid of most of it.
Yeah,
So.
that's really been. My wife has been like for over a week now too down with something. I don't know what's going on. Yeah. So, but there's definitely, and it's not helping today that it's like 40 degrees and rainy outside after being like 70 all week.
I don't understand it.
Yeah, me neither. I just live here. I just work here. I don't know what's going on out there. Anyway, so you've actually you have been an indie game developer, and you're also working to support. You're working as an indie game developer to support I'm part of a team that's working on a game right now.
That's correct.
Okay, so your previous efforts when you were doing your own stuff were all under the Modest Arcade banner.
Yes.
Right, and that link, folks go to shaneplays.com. The links are there. Look under the show topic area for the Nintendo Switch. I got some information about Johnathan Dixon. And what I saw, you could still go to Modest Arcade and download these games and play them.
That's correct.
Yeah, so go check them out. And then you're also working on the team that's doing Barkley 2.
That's correct.
Which is, wow, I've got to get this name. Hold on a second. This is like the craziest name in the history of video games. But that makes me happy. It does make me happy. Okay. So the what everyone's calling it is Barkley 2, but the actual name of it, and this has something to do with a basketball related open-ended RPG and Space Jam somehow. I don't understand all the but it's a sequel to the Barkley saga, and it's the magical realms of Turnanog, Escape from Necron 7, Revenge of the Cuchulainn, the official game of the movie, Chapter 2 of the Hoops Barkley Saga.
Revenge of Cuchulainn,
wow.
yeah.
Man. And there was actually a Kickstarter a couple of years ago that raised $120,000. So there's some interest in this game.
Yes, there is.
Is there anything that you can share with us, like as far as where it's at, or did somebody else speak to that, or?
A little bit. We're working diligently on it.
Okay.
It's just, it's coming along very nicely. We have our sprite artist, Francis Coulombe, who's up in Canada, who does our sprites, and he streams fairly frequently, doing these monstrous sprites for both Barkley 2 and his game that he's making. He's making a horror RPG and RPG Maker, and he is making a game called Sluggy's Tiny Adventure, which is recently made it through Greenlight, and that was really nice.
Nice, good for him. And I heard, I wish we could go into this. I heard Greenlight's going away.
In favor of Steam Directs.
Yeah, so I might just have to do a whole show on that, because that's a big change for the indie game development community. So, well, congratulations to your friend Sluggy, A Tiny Adventure, making it through Greenlight. What is your role quickly, like when you're working on Barkley 2? What are you helping do on the game? My
role originally started, I was making their big main mini game for them, which is it's basically, we called it B-Ball Tactics. It's called Tactics Baller.
Okay.
It's turn-based basketball. And so it's sort of like if you've ever played Final Fantasy
Is that how the
10.
combat is in this game? You have basketball games?
The combat's actually real time. It's sort of like, it's kind of like almost like a Shadowrun, Shin Megami Tensei kind of thing.
Okay. All right.
And
the Shadowrun from Sega Genesis.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
My role originally started as, making this mini game. And then eventually as, people come, this team may have anywhere from 8 to 14 people on it at any one time. People come and go. Eventually I was working on the AI system, combat system, getting in our status effects and affixes, and working on what we're calling our guns breeding system.
Okay.
Which is basically it's a genetic algorithm that you breed two guns together to get a stronger, better gun.
Wow.
And
so you don't like cannibalize components from one gun to build another gun. You actually breed two guns together. And based on the genetic material in them, it's something unique happens. Wow, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I'm intrigued. I've told you offline, I'd like to have the Barkley 2 team on for a full show. So maybe, and you've given me the contact information.
Yeah.
So maybe we can make that happen down the road. And I'm also going to put your team in touch with Adam Dayton of the Fragments of Silicon podcast, because that's right up in his wheelhouse.
Sounds good.
Yeah. So, all right, cool. Well, all right. So moving into the Nintendo Switch, again, if you're just tuning in, if you're listening by radio and not podcast, the Nintendo Switch is not only Nintendo's newest console, which in and of itself is big news, right? Anytime Nintendo, Sony, or Xbox, is Xbox even really considered Microsoft? Are they still a division?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
I think
well, most people don't say Microsoft though, but so anytime Xbox/Microsoft release a new console, it's big news.
Yeah.
Right. But what's even bigger news about the Nintendo Switch is A, what they've done, the type of console they've put out, and B, you know, when the Wii came out in 2006, I think it was, major smash console. It is, nostalgia aside, my favorite console of all time. I love the Wii. I liked the games that were on the Wii. They broke new ground with the Wiimote and the nunchuck and the motion controls. And they brought a lot of people into gaming who either had gotten out of gaming or never gamed. I mean, you had grandmas playing the Wii. They had the Wii in like nursing homes to help with extra. The Wii was everywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, I remember it hadn't been out very long, and some guys I know who I would never think of as gamers were getting together like on Thursday nights and literally putting bowling shirts on and doing and playing bowling.
That's really great.
Yeah, you know what I'm telling me? So the Wii was big. It sold a lot. It sold a lot of games. It was, in my opinion, it was a success all around. Plus, I love the Wii itself. I still have my Wii. I'm the type of guy, I have a console for a few years and then I sell it. I've owned most of the major consoles, but I usually don't hold on to them. My Wii's not going anywhere, right? I love my Wii. And I probably played the Wii with more people than any other console, right? Because I used to take it around to people's houses because I wanted them to build a Mii and keep it on my console. So I have all these Miis on my, okay, so anyway, major success. Then the Wii U came along. The Wii U was by no definition a success. I'm not saying it was a bad console. I've seen it. It's got the tablet. I think one thing that it did cool was it allowed one person to be playing from a different perspective than anybody else. And that the Luigi's Haunted Mansion is a great example of that, where one person's the ghost and everybody else is trying to chase the ghost down.
Yeah.
But it just didn't catch on. It didn't sell a lot. I think it's the only console they've ever had where not every major franchise game came out for it yet. So it just wasn't a success. And so now, instead of playing it safe and putting out a traditional console, Nintendo has released a console that is both a home console and a portable console, and is supposed to do it equally as well in both situations.
That remains to be seen.
Yeah,
but
that's the intent, right?
Yeah.
So I did not see a Switch until today because they're hard to get right now. And to be quite honest, I don't have the time to invest, even if I had the money to put into it. But what are your initial thoughts, Jonathan?
My initial thoughts are that it's very much a Nintendo toy. It is like Nintendo, it still calls themselves toy makers.
Right.
And
yeah, we were talking about that before the show. That Nintendo still considers itself a toy company, not a video game company. Right.
And it's very much constructed with the sense that you will use this on the go. You'll use it, you might dock it, but you should start thinking of games as something you can play in front of your TV and something you could take on the go, like the same game. Like, I actually did not pre-order the Nintendo Switch. I just happened to luck upon it.
Oh, where did you get yours?
Best Buy.
So you just walk in and they happen to have one?
It was a midnight release, and I had previously gone to GameStop and walked in and see if they had any Switches, and they were like, we have 4 that aren't pre-orders, and then there were 4 people in line.
Yeah.
So, but I went to Best Buy and they had enough for everybody.
Yeah, you managed to get your hands on one, which is kind of a feat in and of itself for a new Nintendo console. All right, so now that you've had it for what, a little over a week now?
Yeah.
Okay. So what is your thought? I want to get your quick thoughts. Then we're going to take a break. I'm going to come back and we're actually going to have some news items about how well this thing is sold or how has it sold well, and some other interesting news items, including something about the cartridges themselves, which is kind of a news of the weird almost.
Yeah.
So after having and I got my hands on it just for a few minutes before the show. I appreciate you coming in early and letting me do that. I'm pretty impressed with it. I was very impressed with it. So, but it felt sturdier than I was expecting. It comes with the main game unit, and then it comes with the two Joy-Con controllers, which can detach from the side, and then those can plug in to a device that makes it feel like more classic controller. And then you can just clip them together and turn it like into or you can they have like little add-ons you can put onto them and kind of play it like a controller. There's multiple ways to interact with it, I guess is what I'm saying. And then you bought the Pro controller for the more, standard traditional feel of playing a console game. So what is your initial impressions? Did you feel like that this is a good console? Are you happy that you own it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I feel like it's very much the Wii U was very much a prototype of this, so to speak.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough.
It comes with, most of the major trappings that the Wii comes with. It actually has a touchscreen.
It does have a touchscreen.
It does have a touchscreen. It has NFC right below the right Joy-Con.
Okay.
And there's also in a change, there's like an accelerometer in the Pro controller, and there's also NFC in the Pro controller as well.
For those listening, NFC is
near field communication. It's
right.
what Amiibos use to interact with the console. It's also what you would use if you were paying with Apple Pay.
Right. It's the near right. Okay, cool. All right. Well, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to get into some news items here about the Nintendo Switch itself. So this is Shane Plays Geek Talk Radio, a journey in things we love. I'm joined by indie game dev Johnathan Dixon, and we're talking about the Nintendo Switch. When we come back after the short break on 96.5 FM, The Answer.
Comic book lovers, visit thewildstars.com today. From the mind of author and comic book industry expert Michael Tierney, it's not just a comic book, it's a comic book novel. The Wild Stars is sci-fi and so much more. Learn the explanations behind UFOs and space gods. This isn't the Twilight Zone. This is the region of the Milky Way galaxy known as the Wild Stars. We guarantee you've never read anything like it. The complete comic book novel took 20 years to tell, with one reviewer noting, the story of the Wild Stars stretches ambitiously across space and time, from small-town murders to the destruction of planets, with every event given multiple layers of meaning. If you haven't read The Wild Stars, you're missing out. Visit thewildstars.com today. The die is cast. Plunge into worlds of fantastic adventure where dragons lie and the undead stalk the shades of your mind's imagines. Where creatures of legend plunder wealth through the horror of their passage. Monsters grim and foul hold the ecstasy of gold and the renown of glory. All this and more awaits you and your friends in the unlimited, fantastic world of the Castles and Crusades role-playing game from Trollord Games. Visit your friendly local game store or Trollord.com to get your copy today. A rules-light, adaptable game that has stood the test of time. 12 years in constant publication with no new additions. Castles and Crusades is the original, easy-to-play attribute check system. Join us and unleash your imagination. Visit your friendly local game store or Trollord.com to get your copy of Castles and Crusades today. Shane Plays Radio is blessed to have sponsors, and we appreciate them very much. However, did you know that you can also support the show as an individual for as little as $1 an episode? Simply go to patreon.com/Shane Plays.
Hey, welcome back to Shane Plays Geek Talk Radio, a journey into things we love. I'm your host, Shane Stacks, joined by indie game dev Johnathan Dixon, and we're talking about the Nintendo Switch, Nintendo's new game console that is both a home console and a portable console at the same time. So And as Jonathan said before the break, it remains to be seen if it can do that. But so far, the initial response to it has been very positive. There are some people complaining about some stuff here and there, and we've got a news item we'll go over on that. But overall, I would not say that this has been a bad launch.
Not at all.
In any way whatsoever. In fact, the sales figures, we'll go into some. Zach, go ahead and just because we have so many news items, let's turn on the microphone in the newsroom again. There we go. All right. So let's get some news items here. So according to Reggie, is it
Fils-Aimé?
Fils-Aimé. I always want to say fills them in because he's the one who always does like the keynotes and stuff. Fils-Aimé. Okay, so GameSpot has an article where it says Nintendo Switch is Nintendo's fastest selling console ever. That's a pretty big thing to say. In the Americas, Europe, and Australia, it's even outperforming the Wii. That's a pretty big deal because the Wii, now, when the Wii came out, the supply channel didn't have, it was limited, but it was hard to get. Yeah. It was really hard to get the Wii. Now, and there's some updates to this, with where they come and say, yeah, Australia and New Zealand and France, all chiming in too. But the basic, I think I got one of my papers. Yeah, I got one of my papers there. See, this is real news because it's on paper. All right, the Nintendo, let's see, the original story. Here we go. This is from GameSpot. The Nintendo Switch is off to a hot start, it seems. Nintendo of America president, go ahead and say it.
Nintendo of America president, Reggie Fils-Aimé.
There you go. See, Jonathan knows what he's doing, man. He's an expert. Told the New York Times reporter Nick Wingfield this week that initial sales, this is for March 3rd and 4th, in the Americas exceeded the first 2-day sales in the region for any system in the company's history. The next closest, which was the Wii, which ended up being a massive hit, selling more than 100 million systems worldwide. Reggie added that The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, which some people are calling Legend of Zelda Skyrim of the Wild, and they're also comparing it to The Witcher 3, is the best-selling standalone title for a Nintendo platform ever. What the heck? He did not share specific unit sales, though it's outperformed Super Mario 64 for the Nintendo 64. Okay, so here's some other stuff that the New York Times reporter pushed out across Twitter. Said Friday, Saturday sales for Nintendo Switch exceeded the first 2-day sales in Americas for any system in Nintendo history. Particularly notable given the Switch launched in March rather than the holidays. That is notable.
Yeah.
Zelda for the Nintendo Switch, the best-selling standalone launch title. And long-term comparisons to Wii, which sold more than 100 million, are tough, but good start for the Switch with big games incoming. And then there's been some updates to this story saying that Australia weighed in, and also in Australia and New Zealand, it's also sold more in its launch weekend than any other Nintendo hardware in history. Breath of the Wild is also doing as well there. And then in France, Switch sold 105,000 units at launch, outpacing the Wii. So sales-wise, now those kind of sales numbers are usually based on hype and pent-up demand. You can't base those sales numbers on word of mouth.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, a few people may have heard it. Oh, it's really good. I'm going to run out and buy it. But those numbers are just because people were waiting on it.
Yeah.
Right? Which bodes well for Nintendo because after the Wii U, they have not lost their shine, their cred, their, desirability. People still love Nintendo stuff.
Yeah.
Right? Nintendo has more like character love and nostalgia value and just, I love the characters in the games than any other game company out there.
Yeah.
I mean, there's just a massive fan base for Nintendo games. That and the characters, nobody else has that kind of. I mean, would you not kill to have the kind of characters that you know what I'm talking about? I mean, yeah,
absolutely. I don't know that I would do as good a job with them, though.
Yeah. So it just Nintendo is doing it well. So Jonathan, do those numbers surprise you?
Not really. No,
they surprised me.
It really speaks to the power of Nintendo as a company to put genuine work and polish into these franchises and to like in game development, there's such a thing as a subtractive design where you you basically instead of deciding what to add, you decide what to cut,
to take away,
what to take away, and Nintendo seems to be very good at that. Even with like the Wii U has some of the best games that Nintendo has ever produced. Mario Kart 8 is phenomenal. It's a great game, and it has an over 50% penetration rate with Wii U consoles.
Right. Which, I mean, Mario Kart is probably my personal favorite franchise of the. I know people love Mario and people love Yoshi and Super Smash Brothers and Zelda and Metroid, but I love Mario Kart. That's my favorite. So, and I know Mario Kart was kind of a derivative of existing characters, but they brought it together in a way that was like its own thing. It's it's a kart racer. So, okay, so let's see here. But yeah, not to look over what you just said. For any game to get a 50% penetration rate on a console, that's big. Yeah. Unless you're giving it away for free.
Yeah. and this game did not come with the console. Yeah. Well, in certain SKUs, it came with in certain SKUs.
Right, like as a bundle. Yeah.
It wasn't bundled
like
with the Wii U at launch.
Yeah, it wasn't like Wii Sports were like, here, have a game. Okay, so you mentioned this earlier that you went to GameStop to try to pick yours up. And they were like, we got 4 in, and there's already 4 people in line. I've got a news item here from GameSpot, and that previous news article was also from GameSpot. Just for whatever reason, a lot of my Nintendo Switch news has come from GameSpot here recently. So GameStop announced, it was huge. It was one of the strongest and most successful gaming console launches in recent years. One of the strongest, most successful. For those fans who are still looking for the Switch, don't worry, we're getting more. Let's see here. Yeah, and then they're just thinking, like, after the Wii U struggle, it'll be interesting how to see how the Switch sells. Man, I just, it doesn't look anything but good right now. I mean, I don't see, unless it's just a stinker of a console, which based on word of mouth and my experience with it, it's not. Yeah. This is not going to reverse. I mean, I don't see people all of a sudden bringing them back on my, say, I don't want it, and just bringing it back. I mean, so you got this massive user base out there to sell games to now. Yeah. So now one thing I haven't heard mentioned a lot, Jonathan, and usually when consoles launch, they talk a lot about the attach rate for how many games people are buying, or how many accessories they're buying. I'm not hearing a lot of that. So I don't know if that means not a lot's happening or what, like I know like pretty much everybody's buying Zelda. Yeah. Right. And
I would imagine that there is a near 100% attach rate for Zelda.
Yeah. So you're buying Zelda, and you also bought Super Bomberman.
Yes,
right?
I did.
Now, one thing we talked about offline, I think just before the show, is you and I were both surprised that they didn't release some kind of free demo game with it. Like the what is it, Switch 2-to-1?
A 1-2 Switch.
Yeah, 1-2 Switch. Just to show your friends or something, or just to... like one of the things that I thought was very strong about the Wii, the original Wii, is it came with Wii Sports. And, so and I use tennis and bowling and so many other games to get people into the Wii, to show them what it could do. Yeah. So I'm kind of surprised they didn't do that. You have any thoughts on maybe why they didn't, or will it hurt them, or?
Well, I don't think it'll necessarily hurt them, but I definitely am seeing like reviews online of 1-2 Switch. And for whatever reason, people are just saying that it seems like a game that should have been
for free
or bundled with the console.
Yeah, because it's a $50 game. And you're basically go ahead.
You basically like the Wii with Wii Sports. It came with the console. Right. It was a great way to show off what the console was capable of. With 1-2 Switch, I have to pony up an extra $50 to have that, and it's just like.
Is it not basically rock, paper, scissors with the Switch? I mean, is there more to it than that, or? It's
kind of like it seems to be a WarioWare style kind of thing.
Which I love WarioWare.
That is just like, meant to show off the Wii's unique capabilities, like the ability of the Joy-Con to have their 3D rumble.
I got you.
They had, like they've gone around on talk shows, Nintendo of America has, and they've been talking about like how there's like a cow milking mini game that you can you can feel in the top, the middle, and the bottom of the Joy-Con.
So it's got that multiple of rumbling or whatever, or sensitive, or what's it called? Haptic feedback?
Haptic. Yeah,
so,
haptic.
All right. So just so people know what we're talking about, in case you're not familiar with the Switch, the Joy-Cons are the controllers that attach to either side of the unit. So when you take it with you, you take the and it's got your, it's either got a kind of D-pad, or it's got a little, is that analog? Are both of those analog sticks?
Yes.
Yeah. So it's got little analog joysticks, and then one of them has the X, Y, A, B. The other one has the D-pad directions. And then you've also got the plus minus buttons and stuff like that. And are they calling them Joy-Cons because it's a joystick and a controller? Is that the deal? It's the
I think
Joy-Con.
so, yeah.
Okay, yeah. And so there's other uses you can do with them too. You can plug in other devices to them and use them in different ways. And evidently it's maybe not as sensitive as the Wiimote, but you can do some motion sensitive gameplay as well.
Yeah,
so
the right Joy-Con comes with an accelerometer and NFC.
Yeah, pretty neat. Yeah, so it's very cool, and they're very colorful. Jonathan got the neon, so he's got kind of a electric blue.
I really
and electric.
like the neon.
Yeah, he's got his electric. Would you call that electric red or electric orange? What color? I'd say that's red and blue. They're both kind of hot blue and hot red.
Hot blue and hot red.
Yeah, there you go. So anyway, okay. So next news item. And I think that this is also from GameSpot. Oh, folks, by the way, you can call in at 501-823-0965 or tweet me at ShanePlays, ShanePlays. If you have one, have a question about one, have thoughts on one, want to know where you can go get one, whatever. All right, so this is yet another GameSpot article. So like I said, it's not usually all GameSpot, but they did a good job of pushing some good news items out here. And the title is, and you can go to shaneplays.com and hit the show notes and find these news items. The title is, you can expect a Super Smash Brothers game for Nintendo Switch. And it's yet another discussion with, and I'm going to have Jonathan say it, Reggie.
These I may.
There you go. Yeah, Reggie fills them in. It's another discussion with Reggie fills them in, the president of Nintendo America.
And he does.
Yeah, is he just the president of Nintendo America? He's not. Okay. Is he just the president of Nintendo America? Anyway, all right. He says Smash is obviously one of our best-selling franchises. He told Katie Linendahl during a Facebook live stream via Go Nintendo. What we say is that the philosophy that Nintendo has from a development standpoint is that for every platform, we want to at least have one each of our classic franchises. So let's hit the brakes right there. All right. Wii U. Did the Wii U have one each of each classic franchise?
Of course not.
It did not. I know of at least, you mentioned Metroid. I think there was at least one other franchise that didn't get any love on the Wii U. I heard somebody else mention. Maybe they were talking about Metroid. I don't know. So that didn't happen on the Nintendo Wii on the Wii U. My personal feeling is they cut their losses on the Wii U and moved on to the next thing. That's what I feel. But I don't know. I wasn't in on the meetings. So he said, he's speaking to the Switch here. He said there's going to be one great Super Mario experience. There's going to be a great Zelda experience. You can anticipate at some point in the future, who knows when, that all of our franchises will be addressed. We know that the fans love these games, love this content, so stay tuned. And he went on to say that it would be more surprising if the game series did not come to Switch, and he's talking about Smash Brothers. Okay, so having said that, that's interesting in and of itself. But what's really interesting to me about this article is the other bullet points that came out of the interview. So I feel like that the headline's a little misleading. Reggie said Netflix and other streaming apps are coming to Switch in due time, quote unquote. So I guess he was asked, could Switch get a WWE 2K game? We'll see what happens, he said. All right, Zach. All right, Zach.
Yes.
All right. After all this, are you interested in the Switch?
I'm interested, but I still wouldn't buy it.
Yeah? What did you think of the hardware here that Jonathan brought in that we played with right before the show?
It's pretty cool how you can carry it everywhere you go and just basically play, pick up and go.
Are you a console gamer?
Not really anymore.
Okay. So what is it about the Switch that you're like, you personally wouldn't buy one? You're just not, you just don't think you'd use it, or?
My interest in video games in general.
Okay. Fair
I mean, I
enough.
still love video games, but maybe 5 years ago, I was much more of a gamer.
So if
than
you were
today.
still a gamer, you'd buy this.
Yeah,
Okay.
I would.
Fair enough. So it's not, you're not against the console. It's just not your main hobby anymore.
Exactly.
Okay. Fair enough. All right. Here's the next thing that Reggie answered. Will there be will there be cloud saves for Switch? And he said in incredibly political, diplomatic, sidestepping manner, wouldn't that be wonderful? Nothing to announce today. What do you think about that, Jonathan? Is that something you'd want?
Probably, yeah. I mean, if I'm, the rumor is that Nintendo's finally moving to a paid online service a la PlayStation Plus or Xbox Live.
Yeah.
For a free service, I don't really care so much about cloud saves. For a paid service, it'd probably better be there.
Fair enough. All right. Well, I guess for this console, which can be both home and portable, but you take it with you, cloud saves aren't as critical as like I play a lot of desktop computer games through Steam, and if I've got it installed on multiple desktops, and a cloud save allows me to, so that's perfect.
That's very true.
Yeah, that's very perfect.
If you're bringing it with you, then maybe there's not so much a point to it unless you're on someone else's Switch.
Well, I thought I heard somewhere else that, and I don't have a news item for this or a source, that you can't move save games between Switches.
No.
Why would you not be able to do that?
I'm assuming because the Switch OS or whatever, the firmware is in 1.0. I'm assuming that's a feature that they're going to add eventually.
Okay.
Not even the memory card? Or
Yeah.
Well, like you can move the memory card, but I don't guess you can access
I don't
the save
think
game.
you can actually move. You can't move Switch saves themselves to a micro SD because they have not been exposed.
See, this
the
is
firmware.
where that to me is a little weird, but I wasn't in on the engineering.
You can move pictures, so
There you
that's
go.
nice.
So you can move some data, just not games. Switch games. Okay, he went on to say that the Switch launch has no impact on a 3DS launch. Nintendo is still committed to 3DS, which is cool because there's a huge fan base for the 3DS. I loved my DS. I had the original silver, big, bulky clamshell 3DS or 3D or DS, my bad. And then they came out with the more DS Lite, which is the small, trim, white one. I never got into the 3DS, but I loved my DS. All right, he says, seen 5-day Switch sales figures, fastest selling Nintendo system ever. We already know that. And Nintendo isn't making anything for virtual reality or augmented reality yet because it's still a relatively niche market. Nintendo might get involved if it thinks it could be appealing to a wider audience. So that's where we're at on that. A lot of interesting Switch news. I'm going to throw some love at a sponsor. We'll take a break. When we come back, we will talk about some complaints people have with the Switch. And I haven't messed with it enough to know if these are legitimate complaints or just people being whiny, or I don't know. We'll get Jonathan's take on it. He's had much more hands on it with it than I have. But some goblins are your friends. Game Goblins is Central Arkansas's premier retailer of Magic the Gathering, Warhammer 40K, board games, card games, RPGs, miniatures, and hobby accessories. Call Game Goblins at 501-224-GAME or visit them online at gamegoblins.com. That's 501-224-GAME or gamegoblins.com. Conveniently located at 1121 South Bowman, right on the corner of Bowman and Canis in West Little Rock, and staffed by friendly employees. Game Goblins has expanded their store size, and there's plenty of room for exciting inventory and tables for play space. You'll like that space because Game Goblins has gaming events every day of the week. For all your gaming needs, I heartily recommend Game Goblins. Make sure to check out their customer loyalty program that rewards you based on your actual purchases. Game Goblins earns your business and keeps it. First-time customers, mention Shane Plays and receive $10 off your purchase of $50 or more. Call Game Goblins at 501-224-GAME or visit them online at gamegoblins.com. And they've just launched a redesigned website, so go check that out. That's 501-224-GAME or gamegoblins.com. Tell them Shane Plays sent ya.
Comic book lovers, visit thewildstars.com today. From the mind of author and comic book industry expert Michael Tierney, it's not just a comic book, it's a comic book novel. The Wild Stars is sci-fi and so much more. Learn the explanations behind UFOs and space gods. This isn't the Twilight Zone. This is the region of the Milky Way galaxy known as the Wild Stars. We guarantee you've never read anything like it. The complete comic book novel took 20 years to tell, with one reviewer noting, The story of the Wild Stars stretches ambitiously across space and time, from small-town murders to the destruction of planets, with every event given multiple layers of meaning. If you haven't read The Wild Stars, you're missing out. Visit thewildstars.com today.
The die is cast.
Plunge into worlds of fantastic adventure where dragons lie and the undead stalk the shades of your mind's imagines. Where creatures of legend plunder wealth through the horror of their passage. Monsters grim and foul hold the ecstasy of gold and the renown of glory. All this and more awaits you and your friends in the unlimited, fantastic world of the Castles and Crusades role-playing game from Trollord Games. Visit your friendly local game store or trollord.com to get your copy today. A rules-light, adaptable game that has stood the test of time. 12 years in constant publication with no new additions. Castles and Crusades is the original, easy-to-play attribute check system. Join us and unleash your imagination. Visit your friendly local game store or trollord.com to get your copy of Castles and Crusades today. Shane Plays Radio is blessed to have sponsors, and we appreciate them very much. However, did you know that you can also support the show as an individual for as little as $1 an episode? Simply go to patreon.com/ShanePlays.
Hey, welcome back to Shane Plays Geek Talk Radio, a journey into the things we love. I'm your host, Shane Stacks, joined by indie game dev Johnathan Dixon. He has brought his Nintendo Switch console, the new hot-selling, best-selling Nintendo console in history, based on initial, 2-day sales, into the studio. We've been taking a look at it. It's super cool. It's both a home console and a portable console at the same time. And we've been talking about how great it is, the sales numbers, how cool it is. And now we're going to talk just a little bit about some people that are complaining about some things. I don't know if these are valid complaints or not, but we'll just to have a little bit of balance in there. We'll see what maybe people don't like about the console. And don't forget, this is live Geek Talk Radio. You can call in at 501-823-0965, or you can tweet me at Shane Plays, ShanePlays. I'd love to hear if you have one, what you think about it. Whether you like it or not, or if you plan on getting one. Okay, so, and I'm going to talk about this news article real quick, just because I don't want to forget. This is from Eurogamer.net, and these news articles are linked at shaneplays.com on the show notes. Yes, Nintendo Switch games really do taste bad on purpose. You heard that right, Zach. They taste bad on purpose. It's like a thumbnail-sized tiny little game console. Yeah. Almost like a DS. Almost like a DS game. All right. And so why do you think they made them taste bad on purpose, Zach? Take a while. Just guess. I can't hear you. You don't know? You don't know? All right. What do you think, Johnathan? Why did they make these taste bad on purpose?
Pretty obvious, so kids don't swallow them.
Come on, Zach. You don't care about kids? Look at you there. You don't care?
I think he cares about kids.
Okay. You care about kids, Zach?
Of course I do.
Okay.
Yeah, of course.
I'm just going to shake my news article at you. Poor Zach. All right. I know you care about kids. You just don't care if they eat games, right? I understand. No, but it's honestly, all joking aside, Zach cares about kids. It's not the game itself, it's the sticker on the little game cartridge has bitterant on it so that it purposefully tastes bad. It's the same stuff or the same chemical that parents sometimes put on their kids' thumbs so the kids won't suck the thumbs. And so, yeah, they did that on purpose. Now, here's the question of the day. I got to do a drum roll. Johnathan, have you tested this?
I refuse to.
You refuse to? Because I got to admit, I'd be one of those idiots that would put my tongue on it.
Here, try it.
I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it right now. Are you sure?
Yeah, that's fine.
All right. Yes, it tastes awful. It's got like a bitter. Ooh, that's awful.
I'll take your word for it.
Wow, you heard it here. I'm looking to see if I have a tissue or something to clean this thing off for you. You heard it here, folks. Live radio. I licked the cartridge so that you don't have to. It tastes bitter. Any kid that doesn't spit that out of their mouth, there's something wrong. It's like licking a skunk. So
it makes me, this whole thing makes me never want to buy a game used on the Switch ever.
Because everyone's going to be licking them.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Well, thanks. I can't believe I just licked that cartridge. It's bitter. It's totally bitter.
Going to GameStop, like, can you guarantee there's no tongue juice on this?
Have y'all DNA tested to make sure that nobody licked this cartridge? Okay, so here's from Gizmodo. There's an article, and we'll probably wrap on this. People are already trying to fix the Nintendo Switch's dumb design issues. Now, that's sort of more of an editorial headline. I'm not saying they're dumb design issues. I don't know. But, okay, so one of the biggest complaints about the Switch has been its, according to this article, flimsy, poorly angled kickstand. Now, this unit does have a kickstand on the back so that you can, when you have it on the go, you can prop it up and play it. Yep, Jonathan's showing it off to us right now. The kickstand, I don't, personally, I'm one of those people like they didn't have to put a kickstand on it, so it's kind of cool that they did. I don't know how flimsy it is. But it's obviously going to be handy if you're portable gaming and you want to set it at an angle to make it easier to see. Hopefully it won't break easily. Now, this is one thing I do think that this is a goofy design decision. The charging port is located on the bottom of the console, so it can't receive power while propped in an upright configuration. That kind of goobers me up a little bit.
Yeah.
That's a little weird.
Yeah.
So, but I guess they're like, no, you only use the kickstand when it's portable, so why are you wanting to charge it? But people being who they are, they're going to want to charge it.
Well, you can't put it on the side because that's where the Joy-Cons are, and you can't put it on the top because, well, I mean, I guess you could put one on the bottom and one on the top, but if you're putting it in the dock, it's got to be on the bottom.
There you go. So it's not necessarily a dumb decision; it's the only decision, based on the nature of the unit.
Yeah,
okay,
it's
all right,
not perfect, but
fair enough. Now, this article has several links in it to people who are 3D printing their own solutions to this stuff. So go check out this article on shaneplays.com in the show notes. Okay, the next complaint here is it says the shallow joysticks and lack of a D-pad have been frustrating for some Switch owners. First of all, the joysticks don't feel shallow to me. Do they to you?
They feel shallow to me.
They feel a little well, how else do you, but that's the width of the unit or the thickness. I mean, what are you going to put big, huge?
You can.
Yeah.
There's already like joystick extenders that you can get,
Are they?
I think.
Okay.
I will say that with the Pro Controller,
the
joysticks are their normal.
Okay, you can buy a Pro Controller.
Yeah.
Now, here's the thing, though. You get all of this except for the Pro Controller. You get everything else for $300. Mm-hmm. That's pretty good.
That's pretty good.
So, I'm not complaining about what you get for $300.
Yeah.
The lack of a D-pad, it's not a traditional D-pad, but the D-pad functionality is there.
It's more like the C buttons from the N64.
Yeah. I mean, have you noticed a major difference in how you can use it? Does it feel wrong or anything?
Not really, no.
Okay. So many players found Nintendo's pint-sized Joy-Con. About to have to wrap the show. What did we say? 58? Okay, we got about a minute. I'm going to ignore the rest of this article so we can wrap up the show. But there's some people complaining about talking about sawing the controller holster and duct taping it to the guy. I don't know, just crazy stuff like that. But I mean, have you felt that those are legitimate complaints other than the shallow controller?
I mean, I think so. And it's...
Do you think they'll address them?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. But overall, $300, pretty good system.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then it has a plastic screen, which some people are complaining about. The dock is scratching it. I didn't really have time to get into that. We got about 20 seconds to wrap the show. Jonathan, I hate to do this to you. We got a bad joke of the week. I got to inflict it on you, man.
Oh, no.
Are you ready? What's a marsupial's favorite cocktail?
I don't know. What is a marsupial's favorite cocktail?
A pina koala.
All right, that's pretty good.
You're supposed to groan. You're supposed to be upset. Zach, was it terrible?
I do this all the time, so it doesn't even faze me anymore.
What did you think, Zach?
I didn't understand it.
A pina koala? Koala's a marsupial. Anyway, it's cocktail. All right, we got to go. Thanks for listening to Shane Plays. We'll catch you next time on Shane Plays Geek Talk Radio. Jonathan, thanks for coming in.
Sir?
What is it now?
The Goombas are dancing again.
Shane Plays Radio is blessed to have sponsors, and we appreciate them very much. However, did you know that you can also support the show as an individual for as little as $1 an episode? Simply go to patreon.com/ShanePlays.